What's up guys, Mixed by Jocelyn here, back for another episode of Mixed Up. And today I'm going to be showing you the only metering plugin you need in your mix bus. Let's go. Okay guys, so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the AD-PTR Streamliner metering plugin by Plugin Alliance. This tool is so powerful and I was looking for something like this for a long time. I briefly spoke about it in my mix bus chain a few episodes ago and I had a bunch of guys in the comments saying, oh, can you make a video just about that, explain it a bit more. So this is what we're doing today. So basically this plugin is a metering system, but it does much more than that. So a few of the key features we're going to break down today. And then finally, we're going to get into this bit, which makes it very special and is one of the main reasons why I use this plugin. Before we get into that, the tune that we're going to be using today to demo this plugin is I Wanna by Toby from the Sidemen featuring Notes. I'll have that song linked below. Fantastic record. I really enjoyed mixing it. And if you guys want a full video of me breaking down this mix, let me know down in the comments. I'll happily do that for you because I thoroughly enjoyed working on the record. So basically the plugin at the very beginning, it looks quite complicated. It looks quite overwhelming, but really when you break it down into its 4 main sections, it's relatively simple. So firstly, we have our normal metering system here. This is our LUFS metering system. This is brilliant, and especially when you put it in your mix chain, because you know we're trying to hit these particular targets. Everyone wants to get the loudest mix. You know, a lot of people are going for like -8, some people are going for -6. Make it louder. This is where we can keep an eye on that and make sure that we are hitting those levels. And then at the same time we have over here is our dynamic meter. So we can see just how much dynamics we're losing and how much is getting squashed. And we can see our dynamic range, which is super useful as well. And then finally we have our target true peak meter. So we can set what our target true peak is. Mine's normally from -1. And we can just see where roughly we're floating around and if we're going over it or if we're too below it. Super normal stuff. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're sort of already clued up on those kind of things. If not, let me know in the comments and I'll happily do another video. But we'll play the record now and you can just see how it's reacting.
I'll forever keep it going. I'll forever keep it going. I wanna do this forever. I wanna do this forever. Yeah. I'll forever keep it.
So as you can see there, we're sort of like roughly at -12, -13. It says our target is -14. That's because of the ST settings. So that's where a lot of streaming platforms will be playing back your mixes at. We tend to try to hit above that to get as loud as we possibly can. And then the streaming services, all they're gonna do is just bring that back down to a competitive level. But if you've turned off normalization off on Spotify, for instance, which Harry will show you a little clip now of where that is on your settings, so you can do it for yourself, you can actually listen to the mixes at the intended volume that the engineer printed the mixes out at. So a little useful inside tip for you there. But most of the time people are going to be listening to their Spotify with the normalization on and it's going to come out at around -14 LUFS. So this is why we want to be looking at these meterings and why it's useful to have it all in one place so I can just quickly glance and see everything. Secondly, this is again one of the most useful parts of this plugin and why I enjoy using it is that we can upload our reference track to this. Because as you know, when you are doing a mix, you want to have, especially if you're doing it for a client, it's been recorded somewhere else, they're going to send you a reference mix. If they're not sending you a reference mix, you need to ask for a reference mix. I highly recommend mixing to a reference all the time. If a client has sent me a mix and they haven't sent a reference mix, most of the time I will turn around and say, I'm not going to start this until I have a reference mix.
You got any references?
Because, you know, for instance, we could have timing issues that I might not be aware of until I hear a reference mix. I want to hear the style, I want to hear the vibe. And basically, I want to know that what I'm delivering is beating their reference mix. I need a place to start. So this here, if you hit in this load section here, you can load in a file, i.e. the reference mix, and you can have it loaded up internally in the plugin rather than having it like up here on a separate channel where you have to keep swapping back and forth. And then the issue is with having it embedded into the channel like this is why I have this one here to show you, is that that's also then going to go through our master chain. So we're not going to be getting a true representation of what the reference sounded like because it's going to be getting fed through all of these different plugins like what we've got on our actual mix. So having this here, it bypasses all of that and it just plays the mix and you can sync it up so it's always going to be playing at the same time. And we can basically, A is our mix and B is the reference mix. So then we can play and flick between the two. I'll do that now.
I'll forever keep it going. I'll forever keep it going. I wanna do this forever. I wanna do this
as you can hear there, that is my first rough idea for the mix that I did. And you can hear the difference. So I want to play back and make sure that I'm beating myself, beating the volume, making sure it sounds dynamic, making sure it sounds loud. But then you can also put in the original reference that the artist will send you, making sure that, you know, for instance, if they send you a recall back and they're like, oh, can you try and match the reverb of the vocal more to what the reference is? You can do that super easy here because you can just flick between the two internally in the DAW rather than having to flick between, turn off all the plugins or go over to SoundCloud or wherever they sent you the link and play it and XYZ. It just gets super long, super frustrating. This is by far the easiest way of doing it. And I really, really appreciate having this system in the same place as all my meterings, because that's sort of like the realm that I'm in. When I'm looking and I'm referencing, I want to see the volume, I want to see the target, I want to see where this is. You know, it's all about that final tweaks. You know, we're making sure that our mix sounds perfect as it comes out. And we're really, really making sure that we're going into the fine detail and covering everything. That's the referencing side of this plugin. Again, super, super good. And the fact that it's all in one plugin, I can't stress enough, it's so easy and it just makes life so much easier. Okay, so finally, as you can see here, this is the last part. Now, this is the bit that makes my life super easy and one of the main reasons why I switched to using this as my main metering system on my mix bus. So this basically here, as you can see, it has Spotify normal, it has Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, you name it, all of these different streaming services. And what it actually allows us to do is highlight them, and then we can then match. So we can turn on the codec, so we can hear all the information that's being lost if it was being played through Spotify, and then we can match the volume. So we can hear exactly what our mix is going to sound like on all of these different platforms before we even print it, making sure that it's optimized and sounds the best for all of these different platforms, and doing any tweaks we might need to do. You know, you might have a really nice sounding mix, but then when you run it through the Spotify codec and then match the volume, suddenly it sounds all squashed, or it doesn't sound loud enough. Maybe some of the highs have gone, you know, you name it. There's all these different things that can happen when you run it through these codecs and upload it to Spotify. The worst thing in the world, and I repeat, the worst thing in the world, is when you're really happy with a mix, you send it to the client, a couple weeks later it gets released, you listen to your mix on Spotify and it sounds nothing like the mix that you sent them, and it sounds rubbish. It can be the most heartbreaking thing ever. Trust me, I know this, I'm speaking from experience. So having this tool here embedded into the plugin is by far one of the best things that I've added into my mix system in like the last year. Let's have a playthrough and let's have a look at what it actually does and how much we're losing and how much dynamic range we can lose and how much volume, XYZ. So first of all, we'll turn on the codec for Spotify.
I'll forever keep it going. I'll forever keep it.
We can actually listen to all the artifacts that the codec is taking out. So all of this information that you're hearing now, that's everything that is going to be removed once it goes through Spotify's algorithm. That's quite a lot of information, so which is scary for me. So once the codec's on, and then we can do the volume match. So this is what it's going to sound like once it goes through Spotify's normalization.
I'll forever keep it going. I'll forever keep it going. I wanna do this forever. I wanna do this forever. Yeah. I'll forever keep it going. I'll forever keep it going. I wanna do this forever.
So you can hear a little bit of a drop. Obviously for me personally, I have really tried to mix this in a position where I'm not going to lose a lot and it still sounds loud and it still sounds good. So we're in a really good place there. But on some of your mixes, you will notice like a drastic drop in volume. That might not be a bad thing because you might be mixing super loud, but you want to be really careful of this. And then what I like to do is I like to turn on the match, I like to turn on the codec, and then I'll pull up Spotify on my computer and I will get a mix that sounds similar, or another song from the artist or whatever it might be, or someone the artist feels like they're in the same lane as or genre, and I will A/B the two again from there with the codec on, with the match on, and make sure it sounds the same, if not beating it in terms of like loudness, dynamics and width. I can't stress enough just how powerful this tool is. And obviously it doesn't just do Spotify, it does Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, SoundCloud, you name it. And then up here we also have all these other different options, like this is a really useful one, social media, and then we can hear what it's going to sound like on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and then YouTube again, because obviously a lot of your mixes, they're going to be cut down into short segments and put as reels on TikTok and Instagram, things like that. So you want to hear what it sounds like on there, make sure it sounds good, make sure it translates. So we can do this, run it through the codec, match it, and hear what it sounds like on Instagram.
I'll forever keep it going. I'll forever keep it going. I wanna do this forever.
So a really, really, really useful tool, especially when it comes to you finalizing your mixes and getting them ready to be released. This is basically just going to give you that confidence in knowing that when you print this record and you send it off to the artist or you send it off to the distributor, that you know that it's going to translate and sound the best it can across all of the different platforms that it's going to be played back on. That being said, another good thing to do, and what I do when I'm doing my final tweaks on my mix, is I will turn this tool on and then I will listen to it through as many different speaker systems as I possibly can with some of these options on. So through Spotify, through the codec, with the volume match, and then I'll listen to it through my headphones. I have a pair of Apple earbuds as well. I listen to it through them. I will use audio movers, shameless plug, and I will go and stream it to my car so I can hear it from my car, what it sounds like through Spotify and with the codec on. You name it, I'm just gonna listen to it in as many different environments as possible. And I might just take a couple of notes. Okay, it sounds a little bit bass heavy in the car, sounds a little bit too sharp in my Apple headphones. And I'll just try to make adjustment and find that middle ground so it sounds as good as it possibly can across all platforms and across all listening devices. So that is the Streamliner plugin, one of my most clutch plugins that I've been using in the last year. Go and check it out for yourself. It's on Plugin Alliance. They have a subscription where you can get all of their plugins, or you can just get this particular plugin. It's a super good plugin, worth every single penny. If you want to take your mixes seriously and you want to make sure they sound as good as possible across the board, then I can't recommend this enough. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, because we're releasing videos like this on a weekly basis and we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I really would love to hit that by end of this month. That would be absolutely amazing. And if you guys wanted to support the channel and you're getting into recording and you want to use my recording template, hit the link below. I've got it on there for $9.99. It's my full Logic Pro recording template. It's exactly how I record. All the plugins are in there, all the systems, all the buses are set up. Really useful tool, and it's only $9.99. So hit the link below and I will catch you guys in the next one. Safe.